Democrat, Mr.
Libertarian.
You're just a piece of crap.
Everybody else okay? Augie, whenever you're ready, please.
Okay, we're ready.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You got anything for us, Adam?
I don't know what you want.
Anything?
I guess so.
Or I can wait till the end of the meeting to do
Yeah.
that.
So you get to have the monthly report in front of you, another busy month. Second busiest this year so far. 181 on total 911s, 356 total when you factor in our 911s with our community health visits. So community health visits going down the page, or 88 for the month, so the busiest MIH we've had yet. That's us going on the community and checking on these COVID patients, checking on the chronic care patients, whether it be COPD, diabetes. Trying to keep these patients out of the hospital if we can. That program has actually had pretty good success, so probably looking at expanding that program into 2022, maybe making that its own service line. That's in talks higher than I'm privy to right now, so. As you can see at the times there, actually, I was pretty happy with times this month, 0.83 from dispatch to en route, then our en route to arrive is 5.51, so really we're just a hair over 6 minutes from the time of dispatch to the time we're hitting scene, which is well below national average. You guys can read the rest of the number just like I can. The only thing different down at the bottom, our successful intubation rate, we actually didn't have any intubations in November, so that number, we got NA on that one. Then the second page is our destinations. Talked last time about us getting some body armor. Basically, we've got, they call them plate carriers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term. It's basically a vest type that's worn over the clothing. We did get those in a couple weeks ago, so crews will be wearing those on quote-unquote high-risk calls. So if you see those, don't be alarmed. It's just we carry them on the trucks at all times now, so the crews are welcome to wear those anytime that they may be going into a situation they don't necessarily feel 100% safe. Last night we had a patient in ER, speaking on the Horizon Health side, said EMS now. Basically every hospital within 3 hours of us is at capacity. We tried to get a patient transferred out and no one would accept them, just because everywhere was full. So we are seeing that as an issue as of late, but that's not just locally, I mean that's everywhere. Every hospital is nearing capacity, whether that be COVID or otherwise, but our COVID numbers are definitely on the rise. Knock on wood right now, all my staff are healthy and on their normal shifts, so I'm thankful for that. I don't really have anything else for you guys if you don't have anything for me.
Question for you,
Yeah.
on public relations events, now I can certainly understand, figure out what you were doing in July, August. What kind of things are keeping you busy with public events in November?
So we had a couple parades towards the end of November. Those are maybe, like the other morning we did parade or basketball team escorts. We do those out of town. Sometimes those are game standbys. Sometimes those are community groups want to come and just have us talk about the ambulance, what we do, things of those sorts.
What was going on at the OGM the other night? You had 2 ambulances outside. Saturday night. Our truck, 2 ambulances.
They were doing standby for the Guns and Hoses fundraiser basketball game. And
Thought they might need 2 ambulances on that one.
Much older.
yeah, see,
Old people that are looking for it. Yeah.
but yeah, that does factor into the community, our PR events as well.
Any other questions for Adam? Okay, next we have another visitor that might want to say a word. You remember Ralph, and is it Garmon?
Yeah, Garmon Construction.
Right. He asked me if he could stop by and say hi, and I said, absolutely.
Yeah, no agenda today. It's just been a couple of months since I was over. Just as a reminder, I work for Garmon Construction. I have for 32 years now. And Garmon is doing a lot of jail work in And so, of course, we're interested in helping with yours. If there's anything we can do, I know it's always a long process through the study and the design and the funding. But if you got any questions, if you'd like to go over to Terre Haute, the Vigo County Jail's almost done. And it's really cool to walk through it and see the new technology. And that offer always stands. So
Where's that at in Terre Haute?
it's right behind the Honey Creek Mall.
Okay.
I assume you guys did the construction overseeing on it?
We did. I think since I was here last, we picked up 2 more jails. It brings it up to 18 now.
And you're also out at the hospital too, right?
We're here at your hospital, yeah. And have been for, wow, long, probably 10, 15 years. I think.
Will be.
Just want to make sure you take.
But anyway, I don't want to take any more of your time. If you got any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. If not, I'll get out of here and let you go to work. But I just, like I said, it's just been a couple of months. I just wanted to see if there's anything I could do to help.
Jeff, have you got his contact in case
I do.
at some point if we need to go?
Yeah, it's on my desk though.
Okay,
Okay, yeah,
And so do the boys here,
all right.
okay? Everybody has.
yeah. Well, let me know if you want to take a walk through the jail. And otherwise, I hope y'all have a safe and a happy holiday season.
Merry Christmas.
I'm a phone call away, so don't hesitate to call if I can help.
When's the expected date over there open?
March 1st.
Oh, real soon then, okay.
And then it takes basically 2 months for a break-in, no pun intended,
All right.
That's good.
to train the staff to,
As opposed to a breakout.
yeah, we don't want any of that.
How does it affect the number of staff members? You have the power comparison, the OJO, did that increase your staff quite a bit?
Well, so here's the thing, the capacity went up 2.5 times of rated beds, but the efficiencies were so much greater because the old jail's linear,
Yeah.
and the staffing on that type of jail is a lot harder. So it went up, and of course it's going to cost a lot more money to staff it. But the efficiencies and the safety in particular is going to be much, much better. I think of all those jails that we're working on, they are all the same design, the pod system, whereas the old jails were all linear and labor intensive. So, all right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to open up for public comment. Is there any public comment at this point? Hearing none. Andy, take care, Adam. Merry Christmas.
The boilers are, both of them running at the jail now. Some of this new equipment, it just takes a long time to get it kind of dialed in and get it running, but they got it running and it seems to be doing real well now, so. I do want to get together with the insurance committee. I think probably after the first year, we'll get together with JR and maybe kind of come up with a plan on, we'll see when you're available, when he's available, we'll get together.
The insurance premium was paid.
All at once.
All at once, so we were able to take advantage of a small discount. It was about $345,000. So it is paid, and we are bound, thanks to Augie calling up and making sure everything, well, you gotta make sure that there's no lapse.
That's why I'm paying $500,000 and hope you don't use it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah.
Anything else, Andy?
That's what I think of it.
Could I suggest sometime that maybe when the building committee gets together, they might walk through the courthouse and maybe talk to the different offices and see how the system is working or not working, and see if we need to talk to Ori or whatever, if we need to.
On the heating, cooling,
Absolutely, well, not so much the heating, but or the cooling, it'd be the heating, and how many radiators are we plugging into the walls?
okay,
I mean, if we're having to do that, our folks have gotta be comfortable.
right,
But if we're having to do that, That's defeating the whole purpose of the system,
Right.
okay?
Is that thing working, Augie?
Excuse me?
Is the heat working?
Well, in reference to, were you referring to space heaters?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, so far, we haven't had to turn those on.
Okay.
I said on a cold day.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, it hadn't been cold yet.
Hadn't been cold enough, yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
coming up.
and we do have the,
Today will be,
we do have the boiler fired, I assume.
Yes.
So we don't have to do like we did last year. Well, I thought you did it. No, I did it. You know, one of those deals, so. All
yeah.
right, it's just a thought that we should evaluate based upon the comfort level of our folks, okay? And if it's not meeting the, you know, we paid a lot of money. All right, yes,
Have we ever determined how much money we've saved so far?
He's gotten with me and we're playing email tag. He'll get back with me when I haven't got time to talk to him, so then I get back with
I
him.
just wondered.
He doesn't get back with me.
you're supposed
so-
to give
Then
us
the
a
end of the year,
report.
so it'd be, nice to have a report on
Yeah.
Very good, yes, Dan. And he's supposed to be in here, as I understand it, in person
Yeah.
and talk to us, okay? About what he's doing. That's why I thought if we get a cold snap, I'm not praying for one,
Right.
that. You're gonna have
but,
it.
we ought to evaluate how it's working.
Yeah.
Dan?
I don't have much, we got the voucher, I guess we're gonna okay that, Wednesday.
Just, you know, you might, are there any questions on what
That's
Dan
what
and
there was,
the committee came up with as far as the voucher system?
I will tell you that I was out working in the yard this week and my 94-year-old neighbor drove through and practically through my yard to tell me that, hey, he read that article in the paper and have we checked with the U of I because I guess we did that on the Indiana side and it only cost Vermillion County, Indiana, $300, but he couldn't remember what year that was.
I took a cat up there one time and when I left, my total bill was $2,000.
Right, well, he was saying that there was a deal that they were working out with the
Yeah.
Purdue vet students and have we checked with
So,
U of I
no,
vet
think-
students.
I think we got the best deal we can get around here, so.
I told him I'd
understand.
share.
Okay.
Did you let him drive through your yard for?
Yeah, right.
What the heck?
You drop off.
Well, because he was in a car, and I was on foot, and I
He's an
thought
old
that I
guy.
should just let him do
I
it.
noticed that one form there just has things out, you know, lights in it, but we'll have a new form.
Oh, yeah, we figured that.
Takes a while, yeah.
But we wanted to move forward if everybody's ready, so that you can get this in place
So no questions
and,
on voucher?
When's it take effect?
We hope January. And I guess, Ray's been doing some work out there too, which is good. I thanked him for it, so, cages. Everything's really nice, you know, you go out there and look around.
okay,
Nice new cages, and outside fence and everything. Really
okay,
good.
good.
A little trouble on the, computer system again, our cameras aren't working either, so.
Yeah, I was talking to my sister last night, and I had that dog situation where someone broke into the building, and, well, they didn't break in, we just found the keys. But anyway,
Yeah.
she was talking about, I said, don't you have cameras? She said, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
they're not
I
working.
don't- I said,
She just found,
ours-
she thought they were working, she didn't realize they weren't working.
Okay.
Andrew said, well, they haven't been working for a while.
Did anybody call Ross?
Supposedly, she was going to.
Okay,
Whether she-
I'll check with Ross
Yeah.
and move that up the, can you do this list, okay?
I told her if not, just call somebody, call company, come in.
No.
and get it done.
Don't do that.
Okay,
All
all
right.
right,
Unless because Ross has a backup already, okay?
all right.
Please don't do that. I mean, you
Okay.
can do whatever you want, but, okay?
Not up to me.
Did you see the article in the paper about the Humane
I
Association,
saw that, yeah.
about the cats and everything? That's
Yeah.
nice.
I got 14 they could have.
Didn't catch him.
I tried that, it didn't work.
They came up to Chrisman and caught. There was a mama cat with 4 babies running around downtown square. I think they caught 2 or 3 of them. Yeah.
Good.
So, no, and, you know,
That's good.
everybody was worried about them. Of course,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were feeding them, but you couldn't get near them,
Right.
so.
Same way with me, I tried to take one of the fix and before it trapped on my hands. I gave up on
Is that what happened?
Yeah, well, no, that's my other cats.
We have a good relationship, huh?
That's my good cats.
We need to get some leather gloves and wear them all.
Any other questions of Dan?
Okay, good.
Hi, Russ.
Hey,
What's going on?
same old thing,
All right.
nothing new.
I guess, you got anything, Carl?
Nope.
Okay, Lisa, do you want to talk about the agenda item about it and where you're at?
Sure. I met with Tara, and I can't recall his name. Tara Hopkins being the Soil and Water District Director and the NRCS Director, last week to go over the solar ordinance. She and I had tried to touch base on the wind ordinance, but she was out for an extended period of time, so we just kind of covered them both at the same time. And I'd asked her to look at that because soil and water has a role in it, but I was incorrect, and I have not made those corrections on the ordinance draft yet. There were a couple of things that I was thinking were soil and water district that are actually public health department on water well testing. But soil and water does play a pretty good sized role on solar, and she wasn't sure exactly on wind, but they have to do an assessment before a solar field can be placed. And so she gave me a paragraph of correct language to insert. And also, she is off at a state meeting this week, and she was gonna talk to some of her peers so that she was sure she had their ducks in order, because they also don't have, I don't know whether you call it a contract or not, but a document and a charge for their services to provide a solar company. So I said, you better get that in order, because as soon as we pass an ordinance, they're gonna be contacting you. So she also wasn't aware of the Illinois Department of Ag requirements, and so I think I might have shared with you before, I don't know why it's on solar but not on wind, but there is a pretty good formalized process and requirements that a solar field company must meet. And so there's a little bit of redundancy perhaps in what our document is versus what the state is, but they definitely match, they don't conflict. So I just have a couple more additions and changes to make, and then I need to pretty it up, because Wyatt got back with me last week with their information, which I have forwarded to you all. And so we need, I just gonna say, so we need to, which is on the agenda, to extend our moratorium to make sure that we have time for us to all look at the document and for us to do a public hearing.
And we can do that prior to the February meeting. I'd also, as a courtesy, pass it on, at least have Mark take a look at it. Just not, so he can determine, and I think you need to be very specific, and Augie can help. Not that he's gonna say, well, do we really want, just to make sure the form and what we're saying falls within protection that he feels we should have. Not necessarily whether there's a setback or that kind of stuff, because that's a policy decision, but non-policy issues in the ordinance to make sure it's correct. Does that make sense, Augie? Because he does get, well, what do you want me to do with this? So, yeah, that's the way attorneys are, so.
What?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Is there anyone in Nectar County thinking about putting in a solar farm?
2.
Okay.
Carl had somebody contact him.
Okay.
I've had attorneys get a hold of me because they're waiting for us to go over by Kansas and then down south.
What does the soil and water have to, what's their role in this as far as?
Yeah, archaeology, make sure that there's no historical
Okay.
issues. I guess there was something that was gonna take place, maybe more in your neck of the woods, something a few years ago, when they ended up having to change where they were going to do something. Was that putting in some power lines maybe? She didn't specify.
That was the pipeline. They did a lot of archaeology they hired the U of I, and they came in and did, I forget how there's a terminology, but they did cross sections through the valley, looking for Paleo-Indian and other artifacts of primitive, civilization in the area, if you will. And they really didn't find much. It was they made several moorings on my property. Actually, what they came in is with a backhoe, and they made it like 10 feet long and 10 feet deep, and they looked at all kinds of different materials within that dig, and then evaluated what was there. Of course, they picked outside, if there was a small mound in the valley that didn't look
Looking normal.
topographically correct, they would look at that. So, go ahead.
No, when I was little, I used to find arrowheads all the time.
I
down
do, yeah.
Where,
Fakawa Indians.
especially at,
Remember the Fakawa Indians?
The biggest problem they found and why they didn't find much is that creek. The creeks change their alignments all the time, and so if there was something there and the creek moves through, then it's gone, so. It was still interesting.
So when we are closer to that point, I also ought to speak to whoever has that role at the Public Health Department right now, just to let them know that there may be an increase in interest in doing well testing.
Sure. And then we would still have the assessor's office do the application and collect the fees, whatever we decide, correct?
Yes.
All right. Because they would need to know first and foremost anyway, what was going on the ground for assessment purposes and evaluation. Because there is a formula just like for wind farms, okay? Anything else?
I got an email this morning that said Chamber of Commerce meeting is Wednesday at 5, which is the same time as the community or area community watch
Right.
meeting. So I may go to that chamber meeting. I don't know yet.
Would you tell us about the community watch deal? What is the meeting and where is it?
Gary, you want to talk about that one?
5 p.m. at Memorial School cafeteria. It's beginning to lay plans for how to create a community watch, not only in Paris, but anybody from any other communities welcome to come.
And what
take
day?
Information back.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
5 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay. You want to take out your agendas. Let's see, down to 8, we've already talked about 8. Augie, would you like to talk about 9, 10, and 11, please? So in case there's any questions, we can look at it between now and Wednesday.
So you have the dates there of the board meeting, study session, and highway. We basically just used the same format that we've used for 11 years, at least, and taken into consideration of the holidays and how they fall. Of particular note, on the board meeting dates, the board of directors, county board members, first day of office is officially the first Monday in December. So we'll meet, you will meet, and take the oath of office and conduct an organizational meeting. And then the following week is your first regularly scheduled board meeting, next December.
The 5th.
The 5th is the first Monday.
Right.
Yep. 14th would be the first regular board meeting. Study sessions, Josh and I coordinated those with the highway meetings. We've looked it over a couple of times. Sometimes you can look at something 100 times and not see it. So if there's something there, please point it out, take a look at it. The only holiday there is gonna be Columbus Day holiday on the study session that Monday, so we'll meet on Tuesday, the 11th.
Any questions of Augie on that? Okay. Augie, do you have anything else from your office that you wish to talk about before I finish going through the agenda?
I don't think so,
Okay.
off the top of my head, but maybe Wednesday.
All right, are you going to review again, January and picking up petitions and when they're due and all that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll report on that Wednesday. I still don't have the calendar, the official State Board of Elections calendar, nor the candidates guide.
Okay. Well, do the, at least
Yeah,
remind us, and
absolutely.
I know you'll send it out when you do have those
Yeah.
things.
I'll look into it and see if I can find something to report on Wednesday.
Well, what tentatively is,
Absolutely.
because I think you can start picking up petitions on the
13th.
13th.
January 13th.
Yeah. And they're due like,
March,
quite a while,
help me? Yeah,
somewhere in there.
middle of March.
How many signatures this time?
I haven't looked at that, Dan. I don't know if they're gonna change that or not, so that's what.
In the past, it's been what, 12 or something?
Yeah, some,
25.
I thought it was 25.
Used to be 25.
Okay, it's 25. Jeez.
is minimum, as a
That
minimum.
many friends.
I don't know, I can find
I'm gonna
25.
have to travel for that in my neck of the woods.
But everything's been up in the air.
Well, remember
This
now,
week.
you can have a Democrat signage, you can
Oh,
have
all right.
Republican signage, you can, pretty much as they're registered voters, I understand it now. But Augie will,
No,
March 7th and June 28th.
March 7th. That's the,
June
that's the
28th.
filing date. Yeah, when, of course, the election is June 28th.
but they did open it up, but you can get, oh, you disagree?
You cannot sign petitions of both parties.
No, I didn't say that.
I thought that's what you
But you
said.
can get a Democrat to sign it. Under
Sign
the
your
new
petition
state
to
laws.
Oh, yeah, depending upon how you voted in the last primary, does not determine if you can or cannot
Right,
sign a petition.
which is
So
different.
it-
That's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
okay.
No, you still can't sign two petitions. or
Right.
Yeah,
right,
right. But I'm sure you'll go through all that, which makes it easier for us, some of us, to get petitions. Okay, anything else, Augie? All right, let's see. We went over 12, which is the moratorium. Number 13, we selected Hanson as services for some airport projects here a few months back, but we had to expand the list to some new things that we had going on. In fact, I wanted to announce to the board the Rebuild Illinois program. The governor announced that we're gonna be receiving $307,000 for replacing the controls on the main runway out there, which have needed to be replaced. It's called Platus. I don't know what that what that actually means, Platus, but it is a structure that's built on several different locations on the runway that's used for controlling the airplanes. So that grant was issued. Let's see, approve animal shelter voucher program, we just talked about that. Number 15 is a resolution, do they have that, it may be modified some,
of which one?
the joint resolution on the City of Paris / Edgar County Grant Program. I have copies of that if you didn't include that in there.
It should be in there.
Okay, that's what I was asking, I
Yeah.
haven't opened mine up.
Oh,
So
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't know whether it was in there.
Yeah.
I talked to Freddie Beth for quite a while this morning, who is the grant writer for the city of Paris, and she has some program additions to the whereases that will fit the grant a little closer. We submitted, hang on, to them. Let me get this out here. If you recall, Massey and Massey was an architect that the board has used for the exterior, let me grab one of those, for the exterior of the courthouse. How many, if, yeah, I know. I must have one more right here. Here's next one. All right. So, you'll see, that's basically a diagram of the courthouse proper and grounds. And you'll find on the next sheet, the program that Massey and Massey has come up with to improve the exterior portion of the courthouse and go along with what some other private businesses are doing and what the city is doing. And that will be melded in to the grant program. I do not know what our share would be at this point, but it be roughly 15 to 20% of that total figure at the bottom, which is roughly 450,000. There is a highly competitive grant program, and I'm not sure the odds are real great that we're going to be able to prevail on getting this grant with the city, but we're going to give her a shot, and then we can decide what we would like to do. But that resurrects an old program that they did about 10 years ago when Carl and I were still just getting on the board. So if you take a look at that, if you have any questions, but we're lending our support for a joint program for the capital grant program for downtown, rebuild downtowns and main streets, okay? Any questions?
Well, between that opportunity and Berlin's project with the War Memorial, that would be invigorating.
The city's portion, by the way, of that is roughly 1.3, I think 1.3 or 1.6. So the total project would be somewhere around 2.1, 2.2 million. Okay? Some of which private business is going to take part in. Let's see, COVID leave policy. For 22, we have a policy in effect through November 30th. And basically, we want to see if we want to extend that for 6 months or some time frame. It's all still reimbursable through the rescue plan. So I just wanted to make you aware that it was coming up. It seems to have worked and not been abused. So basically what it allows is payment of an individual that has COVID or is caring for COVID one time 10 days. Okay? And without having to use their vacation or sick days. It's kind of something we do here for our folks. All right, any questions on that?
So we're going to vote on whether to extend it?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
And I didn't put a time frame in there, whether we wanted to do 1 year or 6 months and then evaluate it again, whatever.
Probably 6 months, and then 6 months we can revisit it again if we want.
Augie?
The original law that came out, it's for a year at a time. But that doesn't mean that, so I don't know what kind of issues we might run into if that's a federal.
That law never, that ellipsed.
Yeah, and so when we talk about renewing our policy, I just want to make it clear that we're all on the same page, that, you know, if we're gonna do it for a year, I mean, that's the way it was. Doesn't mean it has to be that way, but it's just something to consider.
That's fine.
You wanna look at it in 6 months, or 3 months, or 9 months, whatever.
Okay. I'm hoping someday this goes away.
Let's see,
November election over this spring.
the sheriff's semi and county clerk and recorder semi reports, I'm assuming they're in the, are they in there? Oh, they're not there, we'll get them
You will-
Wednesday morning.
you'll get 'em Wednesday.
Okay, several 911, well, just so we're all on the same game page, 19 and 20, approve inclusion of 911 Operations Center and proposed construction of new jail. And then approve combining Paris Police dispatching with county dispatching if feasible. Were discussed heavily with staff late last week. Everybody believes that we should try to see if it's gonna work. We don't know that it's gonna work. 911, several 911 board members are saying that they would like direction from us. And so I would ask for the work that we're trying to do, that the board have a united front on how we're trying to do and make it clear to the other board what our intentions are. So are there any questions? Okay. Budget-wise, it looks like we were, the last one you got, which is, I don't have a new one till Wednesday. We were approximately $141,000 to the good. Of course, we have more for the entire year, okay? I want to remind you that all of the general income on the first 3 pages, do you want to look at mine, Andy? I pretty much know what it says. On the first 3 pages of income, we have an additional at least $415,000 coming in from state funding because we're on the accrual basis. And then we have an additional $330,000 coming in from other sources of tax revenue that are coming in. So we have a substantial amount of money still coming in, okay? And don't forget that the rescue funds in February they'll send us the second half, which is 1.665. So that's what we have on that side. Budget-wise, I think we're in a fairly good situation. We have tried to impress upon certain portions of the budget that we maintain part-time hours where it's responsible for them to do, rather than letting them grow into full-time, which that could cause problems in the budget. If, 30 days or 30 hours is the threshold per week. Under 30 hours that you, then by federal standards, you don't become a full-time employee. So we need to watch that. I still have not heard from Don yet. He's buried with drainage district and stuff, but we'll have it figured out. Hopefully by Wednesday, we'll know what we're gonna put into IMRF. You authorized up to 150,000, so we'll go from there. Okay?
Question for you. It would be Committee Code 65.
Damn.
Very in the bottom of the page.
Ah,
So, the amount that's on here, that's just the 2,000 we were always adding to cover our underfunded liability, correct?
Yes,
So then next month it'll show the 150,000.
no, this is something totally different than what we're doing. At this point, the state had assigned all agencies, including us, a certain amount to help pay down that unfunded. So it's kinda like a monthly payment that we have to do. Let me jump in if I'm not saying it right. Next year, it's gonna drop to $893, okay, which is what they figure will help us catch up. It started at what, 12,
Yeah, it was-
13 grand a month? And it's dropped all the way down to 800 and under $900 now. This is totally separate
Okay,
from that one-time payment.
so can you tell me where that will show up?
That
If
will,
not, that's okay.
that will show up here,
Okay, it'll just be a different line?
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, the $800 payment is earmarked for ECHO, Elected County Officials Program,
Gotcha.
which was in place a long time ago,
Okay,
but there are no new, I mean, that plan has
I
been
remember you talking about that. Okay.
closed for new enrollees, so that's what that is. The other, the big payment is gonna help with the regular IMRF and the SLAP, yeah.
Is that ECHO program still in place if we choose to participate in it?
No,
It was totally eliminated?
yeah, and I don't know, maybe didn't say that right. For those that are on it, they're in it.
Right.
And they will be for their lives, but yeah, they closed that down a number of years ago to new enrollees.
Okay.
But that's, I forget which one we owe the most to. I don't know. It's Schlepp and Echo is where we have a deficit.
Yeah.
In the regular IMRF, we have a $130,000 overage.
Yep.
So we'll obviously be putting whatever we have to put forward to the Schlepp and to the Echo. Okay? Anything else to come, yes?
You want the report on the health department about the switching of gas?
Oh, yeah, we need to, do we need to
It
talk
was
about that
declared
at all?
They could do it, so.
We'll do that in
Posted.
closed session though.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I was gonna suggest we
Yes,
go,
and I
but I've got a
forgot.
couple other items.
That's fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Yep.
Okay, so a motion to go into closed session for the reason of personnel? Does that cover everything that you've
Yes.
got?
Yes.
Carl moves, Andy seconds, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. No action will be taken. Do you have any questions?
Okay.
All right, now what were you asking?
I was just on allocation of cost or charges for a public safety facility. Would we be charging the entities that are there that are not the jail?
Just the city. That would be the only one that I would be aware of. And that would be supporting a combined 911. And if the city police put their offices in there, then they would have to share in that cost, either on a monthly, and also the maintenance of that. So if, say like they had 1,000 square feet, and then not only would they have to pay for that square feet, but they would have to pay for the maintenance, heat, and so forth of that square feet. And the mayor has offered that.
It has.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it could be done in a couple different ways. You could either charge them a flat fee for, this is it, heated and cooled and everything, or you,
Itemize it.
itemize it and they put
Well, I
it.
kind of thought that up front and then so much a month.
Okay.
I'd like to see, because otherwise, what's it gonna be in 10 years? Well, you go actual cost. And, otherwise, we could be subsidizing in 10, 15 years the city police department. He also said they put money up for design. And they're going to meet with the whoever, like if you wanna be there, but with the sheriff and the police chief and Martin, right after the first of the year. They're available. They see that meeting happening there, and time-wise, that's perfect. Get 911 out of the way now, and then right after the holidays, they'll do the police.
When does this have to be?
Meet with Michael.
Yes, yes.
So is Michael coming this week?
He will be here tomorrow.
Well, that's it. We want to-
And what's his name will be on the phone conference.
Right.
And So we're all good, okay? And Troy called and asked what was going on, and I told him, and, you know, I'm not gonna, so he hadn't talked to Nan, so at any rate. If you can figure out anybody else to squeeze some money out of, please
I'm
let
still
me know.
wanting to squeeze out of 911. So when 911 tax was established,
It's not a tax.
oh, user fee, right?
I always
What?
get,
Right.
right, Carl?
Right.
I get a 15-minute diatribe on why I'm not right. Anyway, you're right.
So it was very specific on what that charge was for, I would assume, user fee. So facilities cannot be part of what is included in that.
Doesn't mean it can't. I'm
Right.
just saying that we're tied to a 99-year
Contract.
contract right now for $1 a year. So if we move them out of there, does that transfer to the new place?
Location changes.
And,
Yes.
so I, you know,
Okay.
I'm not sure that they could afford that anyway. They've always said that they'd like to move to someplace else, and then when it comes down to brass tacks, they can't figure out how they pay for it and then keep up with the equipment costs. There's just certain things you can't do and certain things you can,
Yeah.
which Carl can probably detail out for you better than I can. Motion to adjourn? Andy moves. Russ seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.